Greetings, Flesh Wound Horror freaks, and welcome to Flesh Wound Horror Live. I'm Flesh Wound Dan, joined by producer Todd.
Good evening.
Pug's Dread with the puzzle.
Namaste.
And Mike Kruger.
Welcome to prime time, bitch.
So we waited a long time for this one, Hellraiser 2022. But before we do that, remember, later this month, we have our Hellraiser franchise show, which is going to cover everything, including this. Rankings, we'll run down all the movies, we'll show off merchandise, which I have a ton. I'm not even quite sure how I'm going to do it, because it's just such a huge amount of stuff. But yeah.
Humble brag.
I'm
not being humble about it. Check this dick out.
There you go. Yes. It is a vast and ponderous dick. So yeah, we'll have all that, everything Hellraiser. That's going to be a really good time. So yeah, then be sure to stay tuned for content every day. All the Slash-tobers, if you're not up to date. There was another one, Murder Party, right before this show. You want to check that out. And
please and thank you.
Absolutely. And patreon.com/fleshwoundfeatures. And
we got 2 shows tonight.
2 shows. Help me out, because there's a lot.
We have early access to Mockingbird Lane watch along, and we have Patreon exclusive, never not on Patreon. This ain't the Munsters, the spoof. I'll just go with that. And check your inboxes too if you're a Patreon.
Yes, absolutely. So, and that will be shortly after this?
Yeah, right after this.
Okay.
8 o'clock.
Okay.
Well, 11 o'clock. Yeah, it would depend. 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific.
In about an hour.
Yeah, I know. I
Hour
don't know why I
10.
just didn't say that.
Yeah, depending on how long we go.
Top of the hour.
Yeah. There you go.
So, yes, stay tuned for all of that. All right. So, with that being said, let's get right into this. Highly anticipated. Been waiting for this for a long time. It's not been a long time since we've had a Hellraiser film, but it's been a long time since one has had this kind of hype. And so we'll see if it lives up to it. So, yes, Hellraiser from director.
Dan, for your sake, I hope you enjoy this. Go, please continue.
We will see.
Yeah.
So, yes, Hellraiser from director David Bruckner is a take on Clive Barker's 1987 horror classic, where a young woman struggling with addiction comes into possession of an ancient puzzle box, unaware that its purpose is to summon the Cenobites. All right, so yeah, if you're a newer listener and are unaware, this is my franchise. I mean,
can't tell by his shirt, but
yeah, that's
Startling H. Dyslexia kicked in. Got really excited.
Hellraiser is much better than Halloween as a whole, so I'll throw that out out there.
We can fight about that later.
Popular opinion, but yeah.
I'm not going to shit on your day, Dan. I'm not a dickhead.
So I've been a fan of David Bruckner since The Signal, great film. Night House, I mean, he killed it last year, I believe.
The Ritual.
And The Ritual, yeah. And so I've always been a fan. I thought he was a great person to tackle Hellraiser. We've had a lot of the directors behind Inside at one point were attached. Maybe in retrospect, that wouldn't have been as good of an idea as we would have thought it was post Inside. But yeah, it finally happened. I can't believe that it finally happened, because I kind of just figured it was going to be a direct to video franchise, essentially. Although this one didn't see theaters, so unfortunately. So first off, there's a lot to talk about.
Before you jump in it, can I just throw this one thing out there? I see, not giving away opinions or anything, but I see a lot of people throwing out, well, this is why it was dumped on Hulu. To be clear, it was always planned as a Hulu thing. They did the same thing with Monsters that got dumped on Netflix. That's not true in this case. These were both planned, so that has no bearing of the quality.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and this is, Go ahead, Dan. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Irregardless of your opinion of the movie, this is a much bigger scale movie too. Like, so I wish it were in theaters. I will say that I would have loved to have seen this on a big screen. So not as initially was out there that this was just going to be kind of like a direct retelling of Hellbound Heart. It is not. It is a reboot. There's no connection to the other movies. You could make connections if you wanted to, but if you never saw the other movies and went into this, you're fine. You should, but you're fine.
Can I interrupt real quick? Because the music cues kind of tie in directly.
Let me get there, because I have a lot to say about the music. But it changes up the lore, and I'm okay with that. This is a reboot. It's very respectful still to the source material. We do the Cenobites. I've got so many thoughts in my head. The Cenobites. Let's do that first. Amazing. They dropped the leather for sort of contorted, flayed flesh, and these Cenobites are unnerving. They're unique, and they are fucking scary. I really thought they did an amazing job. The Mask, which is sort of the flat-faced one, don't get to see a whole lot of that one, but I thought really cool, and we haven't seen anything like that before. The Gasp, wow, what a design.
Which one's that?
With the throat torn open, but a little,
like the Deep Throat 3.0 or 4.0?
Kind of, yeah, but it's its own unique thing. The Asphyx, I just thought they did an amazing job. But Selena Lowe is the Gasp. She had kind of an Angelique sort of vibe to her a little bit, had a lot of different things going on, some comparisons to Barbie Wild in a way, but just its own unique thing. And I thought amazing. That needs to be an action figure at some point. Now, as far as the tone of the movie, there is none of the cheesy goofiness of 3 or 4 or 8 for that matter. This is a straightforward horror movie that really, I think, hits on all the right notes. None of the Cenobites, we don't have, and again, I know they look cool, but we don't have like CD or Piston Head or any of those ones that were a little bit more, goofy. And I like that. They are scary as shit. And we get a little bit more of them. Obviously, again, this isn't just, the Cenobites killing people for 2 hours. Although this does have its slasher elements, too. The first 2 films are not slashers. The franchise did become that, for sure. But this does have the slasher elements in it while still kind of maintaining a similar-ish tone to the first 2, which, of course, I just absolutely love. Definitely the most epic film in terms of the story it's telling since 4, for sure. And I think it will please fans of the original 2, and I think even the crowd that love 3. There's a lot of people that consider that their favorite. That I think it will appeal to them too, because it does still kind of have that gory slasher element. At its core, this one's we're following 2 characters, more than 2, but Roland Voight, played by Goran Vishnik, who has some Chanard sort of comparisons. They're a little bit different.
I think, is he trying to say Channing Tatum?
No, Dr. Chanard.
Oh, okay.
What are you talking about?
He's talking about Channing Tatum from the End of the World.
Why the hell is Channing Tatum coming up on a fucking Hellraiser?
Because the fucking bootleg one in the movie.
Good God. So yes, kind of similar vibes to Chanard, but different. Kind of his goals are subtly different, if you remember Hellbound. And from what I understand, there was initially at some point in the production, they were going to have some sort of Elliot Spencer cameo that might tie it in a little bit more. I mean, that'd be cool, but at the same time, I'm okay with this being its separate thing again. Doug Bradley did give the seal of approval for Jamie Clayton and the design and look and everything. So I thought that was very nice of him to do that. And yes, this movie is epic. It's amazing. I have critiques, though. I'm not saying it's perfect. As far as the score, it ain't Christopher Young. And that's one thing where it's not bad, but that Christopher Young score for Hellraiser added so much. And that is lacking here because it's just not quite the same.
They H2O'd it.
Yeah. And again, it's not bad. If somebody never saw the original films, they might not think twice about it. It's just that Christopher Young, in my opinion, most iconic horror score ever. I just absolutely love that. And
you sure about that?
This
Okay.
For me,
I know it's up there, but like,
yeah,
okay.
It ranks high for me. It adds a lot. So I really like this. I knew this would be a bigger movie than the direct-to-video stuff we've had for the last several years, but I also it didn't feel like a typical Hollywood streaming just thrown together product. This felt like a film, and a film made by somebody who did respect the source material while also doing their own thing, and I appreciated that. Another criticism, though, not really a criticism because I thought she was good, but her name is really hard to say, but Odessa Azian as Riley. I think she's a good actress. The character I don't think is as iconic as Kirsty. Certainly not as likable because, again, she's playing an addict, so part of it is the character more than the actress. But she really causes a lot of all of the issues here. So I can see a lot of people maybe not liking her. I haven't gotten to look at other reviews yet, unfortunately. So I'm just curious, but I could see some people having bigger issues. Overall though,
this is her first or second lead though, right? Like she's still early in her career.
I've seen her in something, and she is good. Again, she is good. I just don't know if her character is going to be looked upon as the same.
She's no Rebecca Hall.
Well, as Kirsty Cotton. I think that she won't be a replacement for Kirsty. But again, the Kirsty character is inherently more likable because Kirsty is just the nice all-American girl that didn't do anything wrong.
And just to bring it up, she was in Let's Scare Julia, that slasher a while back, not too long ago, that we all didn't like.
Yeah. She's fine. Not a big thing, just a little thing. Goran Vishnik, though, holy shit, he was really, really good. He's always been a great actor, but now, and again, I don't want to give anything away, but I think, maybe another potential face for the franchise, depending where they go. Jamie Clayton, anybody left that still has lingering issues that it's not Doug Bradley, I got to say, you got to get over it because she is fantastic. To the point, and I'm not super familiar with her. I know she's on some show called Sense8 that's got a lot of acclaim. Other than that, I'm not super familiar with their work, but she is iconic in her own right. She hits a fucking home run. The look, the design, again, of that sort of taking away the leather for the just sort of flayed flesh, and then the sort of machinery aspect that we get with some of these characters is just absolutely fantastic. And I think they really do a good job establishing this new universe's lore. It's overall, if it's not a home run, it's fucking close. I'm so happy. It's a new beginning for this franchise. And yes, I loved it. It was absolutely worth the wait. But there are a couple little things. The score and less or so maybe the lead, but overall fantastic. Sorry I went on for a long time, but that was going to happen.
I'm fucking stoked you like it, Dan. This is great news. I'm extremely happy for you.
So you guys made
Okay,
you guys made predictions.
That's after.
Did you make your predictions on what I would think after you saw the movie or before?
After.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought just in general.
And
All
he's
right.
back.
Hot tag. I'll probably jump back in later, but hot tag.
Kruger.
Yep, I'll go ahead. Well, you brought up the soundtrack. I actually liked it a lot. I like the way they remixed like the original score into their own thing, and there were certain points of the sound design too that was just really good and really tense. The cinematography was on point. They totally got the Hellraiser feel with the the blues coming into play once the Cenobites are approaching, and I also love the set designs, especially when they would open up into like another dimension. It was really, really cool. As far as characters go, I liked Riley, and her struggle for addiction definitely made me feel for her. But I agree with Dan. She's no Kirsty, and there was times where I was just like, "Man, you just can't stop fucking up, can you?" I did find it kind of hard to root for any of the supporting characters, though. But I will say Voight was a really good antagonist, and I love the Channard connection. I actually think this movie works really well as a continuation. If you just watch Hellraiser 1, 2, and then watch this, I mean, it kind of feels like they all belong together in a certain way. And considering what happens to Pinhead in Hellraiser 2, I mean, it would make sense why Jamie Clayton is the new Pinhead, too. The story, I thought, started off strong with the opening scene. But after that, I would say, it could be arguable that things were a little slow. But with the little scenes of the Cenobites sprinkled in there, with all of that stuff was fantastic. And once things pick up, holy fuck, there was a ton of good. One thing I loved was the lore behind the different variations of the puzzle box. And again, back to the Channard thing, in Hellraiser 2, Channard has multiple puzzle boxes in there, so they're kind of playing on that. And I also really dug how they played with the areas that the Cenobites would show up for the first time, I think, ever in the franchise, at least this creatively. There's this one scene where somebody's being taken to a dimension while they're in a car, and it's just, I got to talk about it in spoilers. It's so fucking well done. The final act was also really satisfying, except one little plot point that I didn't think they needed to throw in there. It was kind of like a little twist that I was just like, I don't know if I don't know if we needed that. But regardless, the final act was satisfying, and they teased something that I just wanted to see on screen so fucking bad. And then I thought the movie was going to end. But then, no, they're like, oh, we ain't done with you, motherfucker. And they gave me exactly what I wanted to see. And that's how they ended the movie. And that made me just go over the moon with ecstasy. Like I was so happy about that. But my favorite thing about this movie is definitely the Cenobites. The designs are just so fucking painful looking. And if you've ever, I think they were called Clive Barker's Tortured Souls figures from Todd McFarlane. Some of the designs reminded me of some of the stuff I used to see in those figures, which I thought was amazing.
Also, a canceled movie, sadly, was supposed to happen at one point.
That's too bad.
Hulu, get on it.
And I love the contrast between like the Cenobites' white, pale white flesh, and then just this skinned meat and hanging off of them, these, pieces of skin that are just like hanging up and being contorted into pins and various things. I also loved how each character's design kind of had some sort of pins incorporated into it. And with the pins, the head had this little like pearl on each of the beads, and it kind of reminded, like, it gave them more of an angelic look to them than a demonic leather-bound thing that we've got in the other movies, which was a nice touch and a really good way of switching up the way the Cenobites were. You already brought it up, Dan, but the little pieces of metal that almost looked like the similar thing that the lament configuration are made out of, sticking out of them.
Yeah, kind of steampunkish in a way. I don't want that bit. Kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. With Hell Priest, she had those two things in her. Two little medallions in her throat, and Chatterer basically had like a lament mohawk on the back of his head. Shit was really, really sick. Everybody who played the Cenobites, I thought were great, but obviously Jamie Clayton, steals the show, and she can play Hell Priest for the rest of the days in my eyes, because I thought she was great, and I loved how reserved her character was with her emotions, more so than I think even Doug Bradley is in 1 and 2. But you would see these tiny little things on her face where she would just have this slight smirk at certain times. It was just really, really well done. I still prefer Doug Bradley, but she is definitely the second best version of the character I think we've had on screen, hands down. And last but not least, this movie brings the fucking gore and torture, I think, to a next level. I would say this is arguably the goriest of the franchise, if not at least the first two. And man, just some of the way these people are maimed and torn apart made me feel like I was watching like almost martyrs with Cenobites fucking doing the torturing. And that couldn't be a higher compliment for me, considering Martyrs is one of my favorite films of all time. So I had a great time with this. I think it's going to hold up as one of the better Hellraiser movies when we do look back on the franchise, and just looking back in the future too. I mean, when you compare the production value and the acting, the set design, the effects, the gore, and everything to a lot of those sequels we got after the first two, I would even say. I mean, this is a nice step in the right direction. Even though I do like some of those later sequels.
Yeah. Well, for me, did it live up to my expectations? No. Do I like this movie? Fuck yeah. It's fucking awesome. I think you should check it out. I have my complaints, but most of it is not a deal breaker. And I would put money on it that you can still feel the molestation of the guys from Martyrs. I think they took the best stuff that they brought to the table, and then they just added a good updating of.
You mean inside?
Inside. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, inside. There's some French extreme stuff in here that you can definitely tell. God damn, there's certain parts I do love. The music, I think, is fantastic. It's a good update for a modern audience. And then when shit gets real, they kick in the old score. Beautifully done. High five to them. Acting all around. I know, she wasn't the best, but she's serviceable. And I use Rebecca Hall because of The Night House, because I still want Cenobites to show up in that fucking movie.
Me too.
Yeah. But no, everyone's brought their A game. I really don't have too many complaints. Even the runtime, I was fine with. I do disagree with you guys on the labia head, Angelique person. I did not like her. Everyone else was awesome.
Really?
I didn't like her look. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about it. Maybe the way she walked or like how far it goes. Something about it threw me off. But
did you guys like that we actually get them like running at one point? Because I think the way they did it, I did. See,
it looked like Resident Evil or something. I didn't
like
that at
it
all.
Just came out of nowhere, and it's like all of a sudden that threat's a lot more, immediate.
It's cool for what it, the certain Cenobite, but still at the same time, I don't know if I really care for a Cenobite running at somebody like a zombie.
Unless it's an engineer, I don't want to see it running like that. Like it looked like a fucking zombie. So I didn't care for that part, but it's not a deal breaker. But dude, Roland,
they're not running all over the place.
No.
Just this one scene is what we're talking about.
Yeah. And then, we'll get to that in spoilers. But no, I didn't like that part, Dan. But Roland, that's his name, right? The Chenard inspired dude.
Roland Voight, yeah.
Voight, there you go. Roland Voight. Give me more, please. Whether it's a prequel or somehow, I'm not spoiling anything, but I want more of that guy. He was fucking awesome. He stole the show for me. So,
me too.
On the gore, I consider me satisfied. This was fun as fuck. And I am truly happy that Dan likes it, because I know that's his shit, and that he's my boy. I know I give him a lot of shit, but I want him to like it or love it to that point. So fuck yeah to Hulu and Hellraiser people. Give me more ASAP. Mr. Todd, after you mute yourself, please give us your thoughts.
Dan, I want some props for the mouse right now. You better unmute.
Pinhead's a Disney princess now.
There we go. Okay.
That's what they needed to save the company.
All right, I'm gonna start off with the top with this score. I agree with you two, Pugs and Kruger. I think with Dan, it's kind of like me with Halloween, where like I hate H2O because I don't get my Halloween music till the end. I think you may be having a similar thing with this, where the music's just.
But it starts at the beginning.
It does, but it's not. It's like you hear notes of it, but you don't hear it.
Yeah, they tease it. They tease it in the beginning, but then in the final act, I mean, it says prevalent. It's as prevalent as like when we get to the hospital scene in Hellbound.
Right. No, I'm not. I like the way the music was used, but again, with Dan, it's kind of like me with Halloween and H2O. I didn't like that. Now for the movie itself. I hate to be the Halloween Kills of the group. Ooh. And I'm not doing it just to gimmick it, Dan. Don't worry. To me, this felt like the definition of content. Like,
Jesus,
it did. I feel like they did what they've done with every other Hellraiser sequel and took the reboot of 13 Ghosts and added Pinhead in it. So, I mean, that's what it felt like to me.
Wow.
I didn't like the look of the Cenobites, and not because one was a woman or anything. I missed the leather, and they look too digital. The digital Cenobites I did not like at all.
Could you make a case that the leather?
They were all digitally enhanced.
Digitally enhanced.
They all were, and they had a digital sheen to them all.
They had digital enhancements, but I thought it was all.
I mean,
great.
It wasn't like they usually do though. When they paint over the whole, I mean, you could still tell there's effects there.
I'm not saying there wasn't, but they were definitely digital. There was definitely green screen within that makeup.
I think the flesh sort of design actually, in some ways, makes more sense than them being in leather.
I don't agree that it doesn't make more sense, but that's a look I like.
Leather's cooler.
Why would they close it all for that matter? Yeah, I can see people thinking that.
You can argue against
that. Why would they have clothes at all, really? If you really
I'm not saying it doesn't make more sense. I'm just saying I did not like the looks. They looked digital. I think the lack of a likable character kind of hurt this one. Like, there was no one I really cared about. I mean, I liked
even Voight.
Yeah, Voight. I mean, but
I like Vought too. The 7.
But yeah, I did like the new box. I did really like that. It kind of expanded it, like we've seen in the old one. And I don't know if it is the Night House that made me have such high expectations on this. And like that with Cenobites is what I wanted. Not at all what we got. We got a
kind of too big one. It needs smaller.
We got 13 Ghosts with Cenobites.
That's still pretty funny too.
It's a lot darker than. In terms of the look, sure, I can see what you're going for, and that's not a bad thing. I think they had a lot of iconic looking.
Funny.
This is the equivalent of. This is the equivalent of us arguing with Dan on Halloween Kills. And
this is just, but the difference
can we all agree that that fucking piece of shit Halloween Kills? Come on,
so you're not going to return the favor.
No, I'm not even returning the favor. I will forever shit on Halloween Kills.
Yeah, I see, and I don't shit on this
today, Dan.
I know. I'm glad everyone likes it. And I don't know if it's that I watched all of them leading up to this, or the fact I watched Terrifier 2 right before this, which I've heard other people have that complaint. Kruger, you did the same and didn't.
But let me be straight. I watched this movie already. I had to watch it twice.
Okay,
I want to see it again.
So did I. But I fell asleep the first time, so that didn't help. I left that out of my review, but
goddamn.
I am going to watch it one more time before the show, because maybe that whole Terrifier thing did affect me. But the fact that
why would Terrifier affect you?
Because that's just such a big high and like
the gore scene. Honestly,
but they're two different.
Hellraiser's elevated horror, but if you throw a good fucking Terrifier 2 scene up in there, this has changed everything.
I'm not saying anything against Terrifier 2. It's just those movies don't really.
No. But what I'm saying is, Dan, one of them
is hard to figure out.
I know. I don't know how to explain
Basically, what he's saying is he went in like on a fucking high coming out of the movie, and like complete, and then you realize, oh fuck, now I have Hellraiser to watch, and then you're like still on that high. And then,
well, like I said, this one though, it's very different tone, moody, but I still think it gives you enough to like as far as those people. There's a lot of people where Hellraiser is just, it's not as mainstream. It definitely isn't as Friday the 13th, Halloween, what have you. And they just prefer the goofiness of like 3. I still think they kind of satisfy you. It's not goofy, but you know, you do get the Cenobites fucking people up.
And I'm trying to tip my hand to my other rankings, but yeah, I do like one of those particular films a lot.
Me too.
So,
yeah, I figure. Yeah.
But yeah, and I'm trying not to give much away, like ranking wise, but it's going to be interesting, and I'm going to watch it again. Hopefully, not on that high from Terrifier 2. So maybe I'll watch it like a shitty SOV movie first, since I've been doing that, and I'll go from a low to a high.
Just watch fucking Revelations right before.
How do you watch this as a shitty SOV movie?
No.
Oh my god, Dan!
That's the lubrication for when he watches Hellraiser.
That makes no
Stop trying.
He's saying,
"You're right, Dan. You're right, Dan. Just let it go."
Makes no sense.
See, like we were on a high. Dan liked the movie. We were all in fucking hunky dory, and
I figured Hellraiser's never gonna be
okay. Dan, it's like going from like hit. No, I don't do that. I'm trying to do it.
Well, you didn't love it. That's okay. I didn't necessarily think everybody would, but man, I mean, as a franchise, this was pretty.
Indy Phantom. I am betting you felt the 2 hours here more than the 2.5 hours of Terrifier 2.
Well, that is my one criticism of Terrifier 2. They definitely could have cut some down.
And you know, when I rewatched it, I did notice some things that could be trimmed, but nothing that I was bothered was there.
You didn't have to knock it down to 90 minutes or anything. It's not boring, but there was.
You could probably take about 10. You could probably take about 10 minutes out of the movie.
10, 15, yeah, and it would have helped. But this franchise, there's no doubt. Like the franchise has kind of been all over the place and kind of dead in the water. That's not to say that I don't like a lot of the later movies, which we'll get into that on the next show. But I do think this is, and I think even Todd would agree, a new beginning for the franchise now.
Indy Phantom says,
going to be
bring that back up.
Popular.
No,
I think this will be popular.
Indy Phantom. Actually, this is my Dan Kills too.
So Indy's like, Dan, you're already wrong because it's already the same as every other movie that hits digital. Everyone either fucking loves it or fucking hates it. It's normal.
Yeah, I haven't looked at any reviews. I don't know.
No, I'm just telling you that from the 2 seconds I was on. I haven't read any reviews, but I saw Facebook was either 11.
I just want to remind people,
like every fucking movie
released
on digital.
Just want to remind people, Todd gave a 5 to Kills because we got a fucking discount bin Loomis on screen.
Yes, I did.
And I think that's fucking stupid, but I love you, and that's fine. That's
and you know what?
You
that section of the movie will always be a 5 to me. Again, we're gonna get into that because I'm afraid to rewatch it. My high from that seeing Loomis may have disappeared now.
I'd like to give that movie my first.
It's been a year. I'm afraid to rewatch 2018. So
I'm totally cool with giving negatives, Dan. Like if you want to cross this bridge, I'm fucking down.
I would negative the fuck out of that. I just want to unmake it somehow. But that would be my.
You can unalive yourself.
If I found the puzzle box, I would just like, can we unmake Halloween Kills, please?
God, can we stop talking about
I'll bring it back. I'll bring it back.
He brought it up.
I'll bring it back.
You brought it up first, dickhead.
Now I fucking lost it. God damn.
Son of a bitch.
Should we rate it and get into spoilers in if you can't?
But we need to rate it first.
Yeah, and then we can talk open.
Right, and then we can see what we picked for Dan.
Before
we go to spoilers. Okay.
Kind of curious.
I am too. Well, I'm more curious.
You're constantly menopausal, Dan.
Let's come to Dan last for the rating.
Cool.
I'm a 2.5. Pugs?
Pugs, go ahead.
Pugs.
I am a 4 out of 5.
I was tossed up between a 4 and a 4.5. I'm going to say 4 for now, but I wouldn't be surprised if it gets bumped up to a 4.5 with future viewings. So 4 out of 5 for me too.
I absolutely loved this movie. It was a great experience. I was nervous because I thought,
did you rate it?
Yeah, I 2.5.
2.5. Stupid
right.
rating.
My bad.
So I absolutely what?
Wrong one.
What are you
God damn it!
Oh, I thought you were talking to somebody.
I was gonna mute you because you're being a dick, and I muted myself.
Backfired, bitch.
Yeah, you really say stupid ass rating?
Yes, he did.
That's a stupid.
Yeah, you know what, Dan? See, how is it that when you hate on Halloween Kills,
His privilege.
You oh, that's right.
Duh.
You were gonna like Halloween Kills,
Dan.
no
I never
matter
once.
what.
No, Dan. I never once called your rating stupid on the Halloween.
I'm just being an asshole. I'm kidding.
I'm just saying.
So
Kind of disrespectful.
It's okay. I've called him a fucking piece of shit after the Psycho Gorman review, and he gave it a 4.5 out of 5.
I get a great rating. I get.
You were still being a piece of shit that day.
I was average, and
Even
I said
when I
I'm willing to watch
agree
it again.
minus a half star, I get shit. So, anyways, yes, I did have those few little criticisms. Well, not little. The score is kind of a big one
criticism.
for me because that is something that I thought was amazing in the original films. And again, not bad. It just was lacking here. Other than that, that's my only big criticism, though. I want to watch this again. I will probably watch it again before Halloween, and I am a 4.5. Great film. I think a new beginning for the franchise. I hope they're able to make sequels, and yeah, wish it were on the big screen. That's
I remember what I was going to bring up. I also had high hopes after Books of Blood, too, which is another Clive Barker Disney property.
Books of Blood wasn't bad, but it was.
I really liked it a lot.
So did I.
Those books are. I mean, that's a game changer. Books of Blood, all those stories were just such a game changer for the horror genre, and it just didn't quite live up. It's not bad. It felt like they held back a little bit more on that one versus this.
The one story with the girl that like I think she had like a sensory issue where she could hear shit a certain way and like bright lights or whatever, and she got buried. Like the ending of the story was like she found a family that wanted to bury her in the wall, and she was all happy about it. I love that story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was going to say something before I did the ratings. All right. Yeah. Mine's kind of because I knew it was going to be extreme one way or another. So, and I didn't change it because I did an or. Yeah. So, Kruger said 4.
I was closest.
Well, he's always menopausal. That's why I was like, but you said over under? I would have went over.
So
like,
Todd didn't make a pick.
No. My thought, I'll tell you what it was. Mine was either you were going to love it or you're going to hate it. There was no in between because this got sparked from Pugs 2.5. I was like, there's no way. He's either going to love it or he's either going to hate it.
I'm kind of surprised you would think that I'd hate it that much to give it a 1. What would be the...
Okay, because...
You're menopausing?
Because after watching it, I couldn't tell where you would land.
Probably because Todd didn't like it.
I'm surprised.
No, but if you didn't like it, you probably expect you're going to fucking hate it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where it was going to land.
Especially since this is like so precious to you.
I will predict that this will be a higher rating for you at some point too, Todd. Because
Indie Phantom. I am a 1 out of 5. This belongs on Hulu.
Indy, are you a fan of like the others at all? Though I'm just curious because I'm really surprised actually that you were as low as you were. But
and I'm going to throw this out for me, Dan. It could go up. I did come back from Terrifier 2 on a high to find my hard drive fucked up. So that might have also altered my mood too.
We're all guilty of it on the old radio show when I started out. There's stuff I look back on that I gave super high ratings to, and I'm like, yeah, you gotta really sit down
at the time, dude.
Really,
no, you don't.
Like, what is wrong with it? You got to find what's wrong with it because every movie has something.
Why would I enjoy doing that?
You'll feel it more on the second watch. That's the difference. Okay. You remember, since Halloween came up earlier, remember Resurrection? I don't remember people hating that movie as hard as they do now when it first came out.
They hated it that fucking hard when it came out.
I knew people that liked it and then hated it later.
No,
like
everyone I know that saw it hated it.
Well, I don't know. I guess it just depends.
It's actually I see people loosening up on it now.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah,
You're
there's
insane.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
See, that makes me laugh now where it used to make me cringe. But that is a good opportunity to pimp out. We will be watching Halloween 8, the work print, at some point this month.
oh, okay, cool.
I don't know if Kruger can make that one. It may be too destroyed digitally. Yeah, well,
We'll see.
He's gotta decorate the house or have technical difficulties like Dan.
I don't know what the Daily Ghost said I agree with Todd 100%, but thank you.
He says
Whatever it was.
Okay. Resurrection hated from day one. Yes.
Well,
Day
I guess
one.
I just the people that I talked to back then, they were like, it's dumb fun, and then later they hated it. I noticed a lot of that with that movie. That franchise and just same thing with the Rob Zombie movies too. There were some people that
I
really
still pretty much feel the same.
see, I still like. I've always loved his remake, but Halloween 2 is still garbage.
Well, you know what? Let's save our Halloween talk for another week.
I was gonna say.
Do we? Okay, do we
Spoiler
want
talk.
Well, why don't you send us out before we hit spoilers?
All right, so we're gonna have a more in-depth, open spoiler talk, but before we do that, once again, later tonight, shortly after this,
right after this,
Patreon.com/fleshwoundfeatures all starts at just $1. We're covering the Monsters parody that that heavy romantic.
How Eddie was made.
Parody.
The origin of
Eddie. The origin.
I think he's already there, but
we're trying for another one.
Like 45, but he's there. And also Mockingbird Lane.
I think he's actually played by Butch Patrick.
Butch needed the money.
Hey, if the kid from the toy could do it.
There you go.
I'm damn sure when he got that one.
Well,
I should have said the kid from A Christmas Story, and that one would have made more sense.
And I'm not going to not as a performer. That's he acted.
Dan's still disappointed about that. He's like, I didn't get to see Scotty Schwartz. God damn it.
Scotty Schwanson. Yes. No, you do not. So anyways, spoiler talk now.
Yeah, yep. Let me find the gimmick. All right, here we go.
All right.
So I just want to start with what I didn't like. I wasn't a big fan of the heel turn with the boyfriend at the end, just because you could see it coming, especially with the way he was reacting to stuff, and I had a hunch that he was in on it to begin with, and now like during rewatches, I don't think it's going to be as effective now that I know it. And because when I did watch it the second time, it kind of bothered me, and you notice it way more the second time, and just doesn't give you that same effect that it should. I think with having a twist like that. But yeah, that's just what I wanted to say before I get into like the kills and stuff or whatever. Dan, whatever you have.
Yeah. We can also talk about the ending, which I thought was really. Interesting with Voight, I guess becoming kind of like a vessel for Leviathan, which I think that's cool.
I feel like they're doing like what they did with Chenard, and they're kind of turning him into the.
I think it's a little more big, like bigger than that, because we saw a Cenobite get made also. I think he's gonna be like a high one since he's won the fucking thing. He can be whatever he wants.
Yeah, I don't think he's the way they were talking there. I don't think this is like a traditional like foot soldier. This is maybe just a vessel for Leviathan. Voight might be gone depending how you look at it. Of course, with Cenobites, your human side pretty much gone. Although we kind of know what happened in 1 and 2.
How sexy was that martyr scene right there, though? All the white in the back and the fucking cross.
At first, I thought I was like, when his like mouth sort of flays open, I'm like, oh, is he just gonna be another chatterer?
Chatterer.
But then I was like, oh no, that's actually that last shot was really fucking cool. cool.
Dude, it was amazing. And like the way they were ripping, his flesh was ripping open, and you just saw all the practical veins inside his arm. And then there's a shot where like it just takes all the skin from his groin and like basically rips his cock off too. And I was just like, oh my God, this is like the I've always wanted it, because even like with Chenard's transformation scene, you know, it's not very gory. It's definitely disturbing. I mean, he's having fucking tentacles shoved in his mouth like a hentai porn. But
going for the dick, and then he's like, "Can I just have the machine back, please?"
But yeah, I loved that, and the fact that they ended the movie like that, because like once the hook went into him and he got taken up into the sky, I was like, fuck, I really hope we don't end this movie without me seeing what the fuck is happening to him. And they gave me exactly what I wanted. But probably the strongest kill sequence in the whole movie, and honestly, that's the strongest scene for me, is when the roommate chick Laura, you know, she gets taken into another dimension after being stabbed by the Hellbox while they're trying to take her to a hospital, and the shot where the back of the van is just slowly turning into brick walls, and then she turns around and sees all her friends in the front seat just getting farther and farther away, and then a wall closes in on it, and then all the hooks come in, good old Hellraiser style. But the way they're like contorting her too, like, you know, we never really saw something like that where the hooks are like twisting their body, and she's almost like in an exorcism pose looking at the Hell Priest, and the Hell Priest sticks one of her pins through her throat out the other end, and we get this amazing POV shot of her screaming inside her throat, and we see the pin go through. That was just the coup de grace of that whole scene. But then that wasn't enough. Chatterer comes over and starts yanking on the back of her head until her whole fucking back gets skinned, and just the shot of her spinal cord just sitting there all exposed. And then we go back to, you know, normal reality, and this blood splatter goes all over the fucking place. I thought that kill sequence was fucking amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like I said, I think it really satisfies a lot of diehard fans of the series one way or the other.
New Chatterer too, dude. New Chatterer I thought was great. The fact that they had I think he was like he's like 6'8" or something, just a gigantic hulking motherfucker. And
I was more, like I said, unnerved by the Cenobites than I have been in a long time.
Yeah, they're definitely the best designs, I think, that we like, at least in my, like, for what I like, they're the best designs that we've gotten at least since the first two movies.
Yeah, I think. Oh, go.
I was gonna say I'm just so desensitized that I'm still not disturbed. I'm just like, this looks fucking cool. So.
Yeah, and just the amount of little intricacies in the design, and you know, just the way they were mangling the flesh too. Like there was one that had like the sides of her flesh on her face ripped off and then draped over her scalp. Like it was just some really twisted and cool stuff. And like I said, I think they got some of the inspiration definitely from the Tortured Souls line, because that line
flat
had some
face, especially.
Yeah,
I can actually see some of I've got a lot of those figures, and
7 and 12 inch, Dan, or 7 and 18 inch. I mean,
yeah, I've got
all of them.
Suppose I can show those off too if there's on the Hellraiser show. But I loved also the whole thing they did with the lament configuration. I thought was really clever. I enjoyed that quite a bit. What that ended up kind of like being for
sacrificing in tears. She's gonna lament her fucking gift.
I think Riley's storyline ends. I don't think I need her back in a follow-up at this point. Like, and again, I didn't hate her. It's just
Rebecca Hall. That's what I want.
Honestly, that's a fucking great idea. If they can get her, doesn't get much.
Get rid of most of the cast. Just give her fucking trauma.
Yeah, I want that Night House Hellraiser movie so fucking bad since you told me about that shit. Just because you watch it and you're just like, he's sacrificing people to the fucking box instead of, you know, killing people that look like her. You know, the ending could have been the big reveal with all the Cenobites and fucking Pinhead. Dude, imagine Pinhead coming out of the fucking all the water, just like.
We can finally get the Jason versus.
That's what I was gonna
Freddy
say.
Thing. Yeah. Gentlemen, now, gentlemen. I think that was the line.
That's actually something I do want to see if we do get sequels to this, Hellraiser universe that's starting off, I do want to see that. And I think with the creative ways they've had them appearing, I think we could get that done.
Dan?
Yeah, I'm really excited for what's coming next, for sure. I think even if you didn't love this film, I think there's so many opportunities now. Like you said, hey, fuck, Rebecca Hall, maybe the older sister. You kill Riley at the beginning of the next movie.
Maybe the mom, really.
She's of age. Yeah, probably. Yeah, she could be.
They get me excited.
I don't think I would go in any kind of direction at this point of exploring the Cenobites when they were human or anything like that.
No, I don't want any of that. I think
we've done it, and
I
don't think you need to. I think they're scarier. Just they've long forgotten what it was.
Oh, we didn't talk about the my favorite Cenobite probably out of all of them was the I call her Smiley just because she's always smiling and giggling. I don't know what her actual name was, but the darker Cenobite with the pitch black eyes and the weird looking grin, the way her hands split open, like Spock style, was just really, really eerie and badass. And she had also like these pins in her arm. All the designs I thought were honestly fucking phenomenal. And I was surprised how many different designs we got too. It felt like a lot, at least 5.
Yeah, no, and they all did. In fact, even if they didn't do Chatterer, I would have been okay. I figured.
I'm glad they did, though.
They're throwing the fans of the old movies.
No love for Butterball.
Cool. Yeah, well, you don't want to have them all.
I like a fat guy. Isn't representation important?
Right. But Chatterer also was recurring, and then there was, we'll get into that on the franchise show. Chatterer has always been recurring Cenobite.
He's in what 1, 2, fucking 4.
Yeah, well, there's
5.
There's
4.
The
he's in a bunch.
Design also, even though if you don't consider it actually Chatterer, but and I will also say, if you can pause and read some of what you can of Voight's journals.
I plan on doing that on my second time, dude.
There's some cool little bits there about his obsessions and everything. That's worth it. On a second watch, like you said, check that out. And yeah, I think mostly all the right decisions were made here with this. I'd like to see the score, though. Like them to consider that and a follow-up, get Christopher Young, and go back to classic.
One complaint I didn't mention before spoilers, though, I kind of did want to, just see a completely skinned alive person. It felt a little off not having one in the Hellraiser movie.
I think we had it. Didn't we have it for like 3 seconds?
Yeah, you have some skinning, and I think maybe
but not like totally.
No, it was total.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
from the front, I guess is what.
Yeah, there was one. It was like a real brief shot. Am I crazy?
Someone completely skinned. It might have been that zombie looking one that you're thinking that Cenobite. They didn't do it to a person.
Yeah, no. I was just thinking there was a skin. Yeah, you're right. Not a person.
I think they were that shot has been in so many of them. They were trying to be a little more creative. And I love the device on Voight, the idea of that.
Oh, that's so fucking rad.
Although in theory he shouldn't really be able to move around, but I thought
we're gonna add logic to these fucking.
Yeah, it's a fucking Cenobite configuration. I mean, they can do whatever the fuck they want.
They can make it do whatever it wants.
Yeah.
Is that it for our spoilers, or do we have any more?
I think we probably covered pretty much everything spoiler wise.
All right.
I think.
Well,
and spoilers, but
I think there should have been a different producer. Just saying.
Well, he's busy being tortured by Leviathan, probably.
I gave you revelations, damn it.
Dude, he should be
Now I just
Butterball.
want-
For
now I- yeah,
that,
that's what
I
I was
hope
gonna-
he's having a bad time.
I want to see like a Harvey Weinstein Cenobite, but his dick is like plastered right on his fucking forehead.
and he's wearing a leather robe. Can we at least bring the leather?
Oh my
Like,
God.
the nut sack just flayed over.
Oh my God.
That would be how they get him. Yeah. Yeah. So, guys, we will have our big franchise show on the 17th, Todd, or 18th?
17th.
17th.
Fuck
Okay.
me.
It's a big show. We need a little extra time.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
a lot. There's a lot, but I'm about ready for it. So that one will be absolutely awesome. And please come with your rankings, your favorite Cenobite character, what have you. We're going to run all that down. And I think it'll be the most in-depth franchise show probably that we've had because there's just so much to cover, not
Dan
just the
cares about
movies. Well,
Right,
you got
so
the
it has to be-
literature, you got the literature, you've got a lot of other things with this that you don't with others. So, yeah, I hope we get What do you guys think? Because a Hulu movie, and I don't know.
It's still a
This
Hellraiser property, dude. They're going to pump that shit
Merch.
out. I wouldn't worry about it.
I hope we get merch because goddamn, the Cenobites.
We're getting,
We got
we're
Disney
getting,
behind it too.
we're-
So.
yeah, we're getting Predator, the feral Predator from Prey. So I'm assuming, NECA just
Yeah.
did the last Hellraiser Ultimate a couple years ago. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get that property back to do new
Yeah.
figures and then maybe do the other figures as well.
Yeah, you got to give me the Cenobites.
I'm holding out hope for the TV show.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
the
we-
HBO Max TV show
Well,
coming out.
since we don't have that yet, what do you guys? I mean, I think that
Why
has
don't-
to be
That should be
You
for
gonna-
the other show, dude.
franchise. I guess I
Yeah.
could go either way.
Come
All right.
back
Well,
to see our thoughts on that.
yeah, we'll add that to the franchise show. So
Todd's already going to give it a 5. Just saying. I don't know. I don't know.
Rebecca Hall was casted. What?
absolutely.
Before we get out of here, I just want to say for anybody still with us, if you haven't already, go see Terrifier 2 this weekend, please. You won't regret it seeing it on the biggest screen possible. Terrifier2themovie.com. I think it's playing through the rest of this weekend, so you can still get your tickets. Go see that shit. Support independent horror like that because we need more of it.
If you can't make it out though, Screenbox, only like
Yeah.
$5. Support that too. That helped fund it too.
Yeah,
It'll
it
show up
well,
eventually.
yeah, and it will be coming there eventually. I'm not sure when. Everybody's asking right now.
My gut says digital release, then Screenbox, so they can. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
got to make some money.
I'm actually wondering if they're going to do like a VOD thing.
But all right, well, I guess that means we've tapped out on Hellraiser for now.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. We'll see you over on Patreon in just a bit.
All right.
And thank you so much. And keep tuning in every day in October. Good night.
Good evening.
Stay sick, motherfuckers.
I'll see you in Disneyland.